It had been over a decade since they had laid eyes on each other. Emily and Jack had grown up in a small town in the Midwest, where everyone knew everyone. They had been inseparable as children, running through the fields, swimming in the nearby creek, and dreaming of the future. But when Emily's family moved away, their friendship fizzled out, just like that. Life goes on, Emily thought, as she adjusted her dress and stared at herself in the mirror. She had come back to their hometown to attend the high school reunion, and was now in the ladies' room, trying to calm her nerves. She wondered if Jack would even be here, or if he had moved on to bigger and better things. As she emerged from the bathroom, she heard a familiar voice calling out her name. There he was, Jack, standing in front of her like a ghost from her past. Emily's heart skipped a beat as thousands of old memories flooded her mind. Jack was still just as handsome as she remembered, with his dark hair and piercing blue eyes. They hugged tightly, and she felt a wave of nostalgia washing over her. They caught up on old times over cocktails and finger foods, laughing and reminiscing. Emily learned that Jack had stayed in town, working as a carpenter and raising 2 children with his wife. Emily, on the other hand, had moved across the country, working as a marketing executive for a big corporation. Despite their different paths in life, they still had a connection that hadn't faded with time. It was only later that night, while they were slow dancing to the sound of a live band, that Emily noticed something different in Jack's gaze. It was a mixture of adoration, longing, and something else that sparked a fire in her heart. Butterflies in her stomach only confirmed what she knew in her heart since they were kids. Suddenly, Jack leaned in and whispered in her ear, "I've never forgotten you, Emily. I've always wanted to tell you how I felt." Emily's heart skipped a beat. She looked back at him, seeing a seriousness in his eyes that she had never seen before. "I always thought that our friendship was an excuse for not telling you how I really feel," he continued. Emily felt her heart racing as she realised the true depths of his feelings. Suddenly the soft air around them was shattered by something hard and strident. The band stopped playing, and people started whispering and murmuring. Emily and Jack looked over to the entrance, and their eyes widened in shock. It was Rebecca, Jack's wife, who had burst into the room. Her hair was dishevelled and her makeup was smeared. She was practically hyperventilating in anger when her wild gaze fell on Jack and Emily. Her eyes narrowed maliciously and she started to approach them. "Jack, how could you?" Rebecca screamed. "I saw you 2 dancing together, you 2-timing jerk." Emily's heart sank. She had no idea that Jack was still married and wondered how he could have kept it from her. The events of the evening had taken an unforeseen and heartbreaking turn. Jack's face went pale and he looked lost for words. Emily searched her heart for an explanation as to what was happening. Jack looked equally stunned and his face had gone red with anger. Their eyes met and for a moment, everything else became irrelevant. It was as if time had stood still and nobody else existed, just the 2 of them. Rebecca's furious voice and the condescending sneers of their classmates faded into the background. Jack and Emily were focused on each other, and they both knew that they were meant to be together. The scandal shook the town to its core. People turned on Jack and Emily, questioning their integrity and wondering what went on between them. Jack was vilified and made to look like a villain. His work became more difficult to find, and the few jobs he did receive were never completed satisfactorily. Emily faced the relentless scrutiny of her co-workers and lost her job as a director at her corporation. A lawsuit against the company further rocked her confidence. Still, they stood together, knowing that they would fight their love's worries. They held hands through it all and never doubted that they would make it through. The 2 of them picked up the broken threads of their relationship and wove them into a new, beautiful and lasting tapestry. They decided to leave the judgment of the world behind, focusing on the love and happiness that filled their lives. It took some time, but eventually the scandal was forgotten. People remembered the good that Jack and Emily had done, and how they had always been there for one another in the face of adversity. Emily and Jack's love had survived, proving once and for all that love conquers all.